My new book, Beneath the Skin of Sorrow, Improvisations on Loss. This book has been brewing and growing inside me for a very long time, but I didn't know it was a book. And I also didn't intentionally set out to write a book on grief, sorrow, or my process, but that's what this is. Ideas come to you in dreams, they come to you in thoughts and in moments of meditation and reflection. And I think this book is actually a meditation. It's poems, memoir, short story, recipes, lyrics to tunes, all of these things that have come to me in this very deep quiet post-COVID. So Beneath the Skin of Sorrow is organized like a large jazz suite in 4 movements. I use the titles of jazz tunes that I have just loved through the years, not as chapters, but as containers for the aspects of grief that I was experiencing, the aspects of joy in certain places in my life. And so the first container, if you will, is Round Midnight. Round Midnight, that famous Thelonious Monk tune, but also a metaphor for that early part of grief when you are bewildered, when you are wondering if you can make it to the next day, when your pillow is wet, and when you are stumbling around, not even knowing that you're stumbling. Seems like you're walking upright, but in reality, you're stumbling. So that's Round Midnight. The second container is Stolen Moments. When you encounter life in different ways and you realize your beloved is not there, and how your life has changed becomes, you feel like you've been ripped off. I felt like I had something taken from me, something valuable, something wonderful, something sweet. And then the third container is A Love Supreme. And A Love Supreme, John Coltrane's just incredibly restorative and healing song, is about that healing. It's about those moments in your life where you realize there's something bigger than your particular story or your particular moment. So A Love Supreme has a lot of joy and reflection woven through it. And then the fourth container is Time Traveler, which is the title of one of my records. And it's also what I feel like I've become. Grief has given me the superhuman ability to travel through time. I can go back to a memory and grab something. I can go forward in time and imagine what my life might be or what it might be with my beloved. It's also possible for me to use my creative imagination to seed my beloved's legacy and mine in present moments and future moments. So if it sounds like a musician's book, it is a musician's book, because it was the tools I learned as a jazz musician that helped me get through and is still helping me get through my grief. Not praying, not faith, not being strong, which I don't recommend because it's not sustainable, but my improvisational skills, my ability to change the key of a moment, my ability to modulate, go up a half step, go to the third. These kinds of things that being a jazz musician taught me, that is what got me through and is continuing to support and buoy me in my sojourn with grief and with joy. So to sort of talk about how the book is part memoir, Beneath the Skin of Sorrow, Improvisations on Loss is part memoir. It's part worldview of grief, being creative in grief, and it's from this jazz woman's perspective. I'd like to read this very short piece at the beginning of the book called Rubato. Rubato in Italian literally means robbed time. In music, it denotes the freedom to freely interpret particular musical phrase or passage. Grief altered the music of my life. It required that I freely interpret a new set of rules, sing in a new key signature. It was necessary to engage with the new tempo of grief, even though there were times when it felt literally impossible to do so. Rubato. So the book also contains songs, spirituals, original music. I wanted the book to sing. I really wanted the words to sing and the singing to sing. So we had to have an audiobook in order to do that. But just for this moment, I'm going to sing a little bit. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my work's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There's a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. So, I'm going to read a poem from Beneath the Skin of Sorrow, Improvisations on Loss. This is a poem called Dry Toast. I don't know about you, but I like butter on my toast. So this dry toast. Dry toast of days, dark and brittle, slightly burned on one side. Isn't this what we serve to sick people, give to prisoners as a punishment? I've been churning for a long while, and nothing's risen to the top. No buttery laughter, thickened memory. Seems like I should have by now some gay spread. Keep churning, she said. It takes as long as it takes. This poem was a message to my own soul. Shouldn't I be finished with grief by now? Shouldn't I by now, by this many tears, have gotten over it? The poem suggests, no, baby. It takes as long as it takes. One of the things on my grief journey that I did not expect is the natural world showing up in incredible, wonderful, surprising ways. Turtles, hawks, ants, all kinds of members of the natural world, rainbows, cloudbursts, shooting stars. The whole universe conspired to catch my attention during my grief journey. And this poem in the book talks about one of these encounters. And it turned itself into a poem. I didn't write it, it just turned itself into a poem. This is called Dragonfly. Dragonfly landed at my breakfast next to the spoon. her wings transparent, iridescent. Was she alive, I wondered? Had she gotten trapped indoors by an artificial trade wind? Swept in on the pull of the door? What was she doing here, so far from the verdant world outside the window? What of her mate and her children, her solemn eyes, given to flecks of green and gold, regarded me without interest? I thought for sure she was dead. I moved in for a post-mortem close-up. She shuddered, allowing one click, and adjusted her banded blue and green tail. Definitely not dead. She turned her triangular face toward me and fluffed her wings for flight, but not before she winked one impossibly large eye. My life, she said, is about 7 of your months. I intend to live them all. And you? She flew off to other business and left me to my oatmeal and wonder. So this poem, Dragonfly, actually happened. A dragonfly did land at my breakfast. And I felt like she was giving me a message that said, live, live, live. Because I had thought about not living in my grief. I began to expect these encounters and realize that they were encounters and not just random events. Grateful for that dragonfly. My book, Beneath the Skin of Sorrow, Improvisations on Loss, is a journey, really. A journey of improvisation, love, loss, healing, joy, all the things. And right after my husband Phil died, I was in a kind of state of almost shock. Yes, we knew that he had ALS. Yes, we knew that death was imminent. But the distance between dying and death is huge. It's huge. Writing the book was almost a way I wrote to keep myself alive. I wrote to console myself, not thinking that it would be a book, not thinking that it would be anything other than my own journal entries to soothe a broken heart. But the entries kept coming and coming and coming. And it was actually a dear friend of mine who encouraged me to pull the collection of writings into a form that one would call a book. And I didn't understand it as a book because it was poems, short stories, recipes, song lyrics, all the things. And I said, well, it can't be just one book. It might need to be 3 or 4 books. But thankfully, Beneath the Skin of Sorrow is holding itself together in 4 containers. And it is a jazz musician's response, improvisational response to grief and joy. In search of our mother's garden, we have come to find intimate connection